Welcome to Repair Shop Reckoning, the race to zero. Today we have Ben from Wrench Wagon LLC. He's a brand new mobile mechanic in the Fenton area. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd say Fenton area.
Okay. So today we are going to actually have a pretty cool podcast because we always talk about mechanics becoming business owners. So a mechanic becoming a business owner, and he ends up putting on another hat. Right? So he has to learn a whole nother business. So he's a mechanic by trade. Now, all of a sudden, he has to be a business owner. And what does that look like to a bunch of guys? It's pretty confusing, isn't it, Ben?
Oh, I can tell you it is a totally different story. Being a mechanic, just worrying about your car, maybe worrying about your hours if you're flat rate, or if you're not, you're hourly, even less. But being a business owner, totally different story. I mean, you're keeping track of all of your numbers, all of your finances. You're dealing with your own marketing. You got to figure out your social media, figure out all that aspect to get your customers in. You're handling not only your customers, you're handling your warranty. It's totally different, totally different mindset, totally different hat. You know, you're now truly eating what you kill, so to speak, you know?
So let's start at the very beginning. That way we can give the viewers your backstory. So we were talking before the show, and you talked about like, hey, I worked at a performance shop. Is that what you said?
Not necessarily a performance, just an independent mom and pop shop. I worked there for a little bit. I started as a guy who truly didn't know jack diddly about cars, and they were wonderful people. They helped train me up, help me understand not only the basics, but obviously got me trained in how to properly work on cars. And yeah, and they were really, really good people. I'll say Lynn Complete Auto. They're awesome people. Still do good work, but
How did they pay you over there?
So they started me as an hourly person. I worked hourly. It was kind of more of a salary, so to speak. I think I got $600 a week.
How many hours a week did you work?
It was about 55 hours a week.
So you're making like $8 an hour by the time you break it all down, right?
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
But you know, even though it wasn't the best pay, I mean, I felt that the owner was overall a pretty good guy, treated me well, and I worked my butt off there. You know, I started as just their basic lube tech, their oil changes, you know, your alignments. They mainly had me there for doing alignments on their rack, and I got pretty good at doing alignments. I'm not going to say I'm the best guy ever, but, you know, have to fight a rusty bolts, rusty whatever, and just got the thing going straight. And then they started opening me up to brake jobs and a little bit of inside the door dash work type stuff, and just kind of kept going from there.
So most people don't realize, you know, we talk about flat rate being a little bit of a scam for the shop owners and stuff like that. Most people don't realize, now they will, or I guess I should say some people don't realize, when they put you on salary, they say, okay, you're making $6 or $600 a week salary, you're going to work 56 hours, you're making $10.71 an hour, right? Yeah. So just a couple of minutes ago said about $8 an hour, and people will be like, you don't know math. So I pull out my calculator and broke it out because I wanted to say, okay, what happens if you work 60 hours? What happens if you work 65? Okay, your hourly wage goes down, okay? Oh, yeah. So these mechanics that always go, well, you know, I should get off flat rate and I should be a salary guy. Okay, so that brings on a whole nother problem for you to complain about. Okay, if I'm salary, I have to work 40 hours. Well, no, it's 50 or 60. I need you to stay here and do it. Well, I'm not getting paid to do that. I'm salary. Then a whole other fight starts, right?
Oh, 100%. And I mean, I feel like there's, no matter what type of payment plan you're on, whether you're flat rate, whether you're hourly, honestly, I think the most important thing is just how the management is and how they handle taking care of their techs. Because you can be, well, I was hourly, or well, technically, sorry, I was salary, getting paid 10 something an hour. I guarantee there's probably some shops that pay their guys 40, 50 an hour, paying them really, really well hourly somewhere. I don't know. And then there's shops that, like yours, which I'm a big fan of, paying a really good flat rate, but you also make sure your guys are taken care of. You're constantly getting work in so that nobody's starving, nobody's running out of money.
Well, yeah, exactly. And, you know, I was talking to my brother yesterday, asking him how much the dealership, how many cars. He's like, oh, we're slow. I have 36 vehicles at Garrett's right now, and I think right here at Motor City, I think I have 22 waiting to get work done. So going into a December, having good marketing, that's a big plus. You know what I mean? So my guys aren't going to starve through the holidays. Now, we're closed we're open Monday and Tuesday, then we're closed Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We come back the following Monday for Monday and Tuesday, then we're closed after the first year to the fifth. That was all they wanted to do it. I wouldn't care if we worked or not, quite frankly, but they're like, no, we're good. We all can afford to take these days off. That's what we're going to do. A lot of the shops that are on my new group that I just started there, a lot of them shops are taking off a lot of time too, which is kind of cool. But you know what the dealership's doing there, guys? Every day.
Maybe if they're lucky, they might get Christmas and New Year's Day off.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, because it's all about the freaking money machine, you know? So after, what happened you said they got slow at Linden Garage?
They got pretty slow and they just had to let me go. And it is what it is. So I ended up looking around, found a dealership. I started working there for a bit and they hired me in as assistant tech and worked with some of the other guys. And it was kind of funny. When they hired me in, they didn't have a bay for me to work in. So half the time I'm working outside on like doing, if it's like a battery or something I can do from the top, I was literally just, I drag my tool cart out there and just working out in the parking lot or whatever, or helping a tech in their bay with whatever they needed, or if they're letting me use their bay for something. But it was a very different atmosphere because while some of the techs were pretty chill and willing to work with me, some of them were very, if you're holding me up from my money, if I'm taking any time that's like any, and obviously I was a newer tech, I'm still learning. I'm not going to be the most efficient technician ever. I mean, I don't care who you are. Nobody, like it takes years to get that proficiency.
Especially at a dealer. You came from independent to it from a dealer.
Yes.
So you got put on flat rate at the dealer?
They surprisingly kept me on an hourly, which I was surprised. It was a little bump. I think it was $15 an hour hourly. And they kind of had me doing, but with that, I was also doing sort of the odd jobs, you call it, the random crap that the techs won't deal with, or they don't want to give to they don't want to give to the lube techs. I was kind of in that weird in between spot. So things like a random battery went out for the used cars. They don't want to pay a tech to go put it in, pay their rate. They just hand it to me, go throw it in, or weird things like that, or even like crap like cleaning out the back room with all the tools, or which fine. I mean, I was hourly, I was getting paid to do it,
right,
and just that did what I did. I tried to be as best as I could, and I'll say my direct manager was an awesome guy who was willing to work with me, and I did everything he needed, and sometimes stayed late to do whatever he needed me to do. But yeah.
What brand was that?
That was a GMC dealership.
GMC dealer.
Yeah.
So did you get pushback from the techs when you're starting to take some of the gravy? Because quite frankly, they got an hourly guy going to go out there and swing batteries and do this stuff. How did that work out?
So there was some techs that definitely had some animosity with me, and then they were like, they kind of looked down upon me. You're just a fucking new guy. I mean, I should be getting those tickets. But also some of them kind of, luckily for me, some of them didn't necessarily blame me as much as they were just pissed at used car or the manager about like this guy or the dispatcher. Thankfully, more of the animosity went to them than me, because I just go, hey, I'm just the tech. I don't get to choose my jobs. And so, but yeah, there's definitely some things of like, I just lost my butt, or like maybe they lost their butt on some warranty work that they threw them, but don't give me any gravy. Or there's one or two of the older guys that only got the weird diags and the really, very much cost sinking jobs that didn't usually pay the best type of work. So he kind of be grumpy with me, never really wanted to talk to me. I was like, okay, fine. I'll just stay out of your way.
So two things. Number one, when you started at your dealer, you had your state certifications for electrical. You said electrical, brakes, front ends, and engine performance. Is that right?
At the time when I originally started, I think I started with just brakes, but I got those while I was working there.
So, okay. So a lot of these dealerships have different procedures. So say you were checking out a car. Okay, so say you checked out a car and needed a battery.
Yeah.
You would write up, needs battery, R&R. Would you have to go over to the parts department and go to the parts department and go, hey, this thing needs a battery, and they would look it up. You'd have to write on your ticket. And then you'd have to take it to the service advisor?
Yep. I had to go all my own parts pricing. I had to, like, for example, for the battery thing, I'd always have to hook up their battery tester and run it through its whole procedure. And Theirs specifically was kind of funky. Like you plugged it into the wall and it sometimes take half an hour because it charged the battery before then saying, oh yeah, the battery's shot.
Yeah, service charge. Yeah, and
Service
all that
charge and
stuff.
all
Surface
that
charge.
stuff. So, and I have to have the little receipt because I had to have the proof with it. So that way they could show used, because if it didn't have any sort of proof, used car would go, well, is it, or is it just need to be charged? Things like that. So, but yes, I go to parts, I have to write up, talk to them, get the pricing, and sometimes have to work with them, try to figure out what used car would want. Which usually was just the cheapest thing imaginable.
Right.
Yeah.
So the reason I asked that question in my podcast, how do flat rate techs, like I just did a whole series today, it came out actually on technicians doing free work that are flat rate. So you just proved my point. Okay. Think about trying to turn hours because your paycheck depends on it. And you have to go over to, you're a tech, and you have to go over to the parts department. Then you have to say, okay, it needs a battery. And then the parts guy's at lunch, or he's dicking around, or you wait in line. Okay. We're talking from the premise of $60 an hour flat rate. So that way we could break it down for dollar per minute, right? So honestly, like how much time do you think you would spend at the parts counter a day when you were going to quote a job?
In a day. I mean, I could see just each job could be anywhere from just like 2 minutes if it's real fast, they were on the ball, it was just you and them, to you could be sitting there for a good 20 minutes.
Right, so you could burn an hour a day if you had 5 jobs. Easy.
Easily.
Okay, so
Yes.
think about that, $60. It costs you 1 hour for the day times, remember we broke this all down, 1 hour, $60 times 5, that's 300. You know what I'm saying? Here we go, right? And that's what I was trying to prove to flat rate is not really the problem. The management structure is the problem. When I say management and leadership, I consider the people at the top and the guys who manage you, the technicians, right? Yeah. So the reason one of the kind of cool things of you having dealership experience and not being a ton experience, like you kind of starkly see these things happening. Like, okay, I'm sitting at the parts counter. Then a guy doesn't like me or he's in a bad mood. He's moving slow. He's texting. He's not paying attention. I have to wait in line. That's all unpaid time to you if you're a flat rate tech. Hourly, you don't give a shit.
Oh, I couldn't care less. But yeah, no, those flat rate techs were very much like they would be pissed if they were standing behind me just while I'm trying to get my parts because they knew they're losing money just standing there dicking off, having to wait, or God forbid if the parts guy has to call a different dealership because it was not one of our, say someone brought a Nissan or some random other car, they have to call another dealership, get parts, and it becomes a whole thing that they're losing time. And I agree, definitely, it's more of a management and a leadership issue than anything else because the pay structure shouldn't matter as much as long as they set them like for flat rate. It needs to be set up to be as efficient as possible for those techs. Like service advisors, in my opinion, should be the ones tracing down those parts prices.
Totally agree with that. My service advisors do. My guys, the only time that guys are making money, my flat rate guys are making money is when they are fixing cars or trucks, right? So I'm not going to have them search. And let me tell you a story. And I've never said this before. When I started at Hale's Auto Clinic as a commission mechanic, hear me now, commission, we would have to check the car out. We'd have to write our own estimate, meaning I would have to call the Glendale at the time, get my parts prices or the dealer or whatever, mark up my own stuff, a little sheet he gave me, and buy my toolbox. I would have to call the customer. I have to sell the job. Then I'd have to do the job. Then I would hit the paperwork up front. That's how we started out in this business. And I was on commission. Now that I think about that, okay, wait a second here. I wasn't getting paid to do all that shit. But you want to know the funny thing is, I didn't know any better at that time. So I was like, it didn't matter to me. Now that I sit there and teach this shit, it matters a lot. If I am a freaking hired gun, and everybody's like laughing gunslinger, if I am a hired gun, okay, I have to fix the cars. It's the only way I'm getting paid. Not doing visual inspections, and it's crazy. So let's talk about meetings at the dealership, then we'll move on, because I always like to hear a fresh perspective. You're not jaded. You didn't spend your whole life with a dealer, so a lot of these times these guys are jaded, so we really don't get the true story.
Yeah.
So do you remember meetings at the dealership, service meetings and all that shit?
So I only had maybe 1 or 2 of those at my time at the dealership. I mean, they were for me, it was fine. I mean, most of the time it was the manager talking, all right, so here's our numbers we did. We're lagging behind and we need to make more numbers. I need you guys to be really on the ball. And in my head, I'm kind of thinking like, okay, I mean, I think they're trying to do their best, but obviously there's some systems, in my opinion, that are a little bit off here. But I didn't say anything. I just kind of shut up, nod my head. I'm the lowest guy on the totem pole. I ain't going to argue with anything. But I mean, They had them like once or twice, and I think it was over at one point. I think one of them was over a warranty issue, and then another time it was over they were flagging lower hours or lower production, something like that.
Imagine you being on flat rate and your freaking livelihood depends on leadership talking to management about doing the right thing, and the managers actually doing their job, making sure the service advisors are doing their job, yada, yada, yada. And you have a bad week, and the freaking manager comes out and says, I really need you guys to pick up the pace. I really need you to get better numbers. I really need you to smile. I really need you to go look up your own parts for free. I really need you to do DVIs. Okay. Think about the atmosphere around that place. Is like these guys, I would pretty much guarantee the guys that are on flat rate that have families and stuff like that, they're doing everything they can to turn hours. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so why the hell would they even think that the management need to come out and go, you guys need to work a little bit harder, a little bit faster, a little bit more. You need to do. They're already doing it. The system is broken. It's not flat rate. It's the freaking backstop of the people. And you know, funny, Jason, last night on one of the posts, they said we said that backwards in the restaurant, that the cook should have been the technician and the waiter should have been. And I said, no. I said, if you listen to the podcast, we were talking about it in reverse. The flat rate is not the problem. The technician is not the problem. The support staff that the technician gets is the problem. And you just helped me solidify my point where if the parts department is not doing what they're supposed to, the service advisors, you can't find them or they're pissing off the customers. You go out there to start the car. You think about this. If you weren't hourly and I said, okay, you need to go out and pull this ticket. You go out there and there's a snowbank around the thing and it's dead as a doornail. Now you have to get a jump start or you have to get somebody to help you pull it in the building so you can jump start. That's all unpaid time.
Oh, absolutely. And don't get me started on if you have to go out there and now you're cleaning off your own car just so you're not getting absolutely drenched in ice and snow and crap while you're underneath trying to just look at the damn thing. But also then you got to jump start it or you got to get it pulled in. And even at the dealership we were at, they had like this pusher thing that was supposed to, help push the car, and that was broken. So half the time they'd be getting their own truck with a freaking strap, hooking up some janky setup just to pull the dang thing in. It's kind of a bit, my opinion, it felt a little ridiculous. It's like we're making millions of dollars a year, and we can't figure out fixing this. Maybe as a $2,000, $3,000 tool, but if clearly this is meant to make their job better, more efficient, why can't we just get a new one? Yeah,
like and the Ford CEO has been on Facebook, and he did articles. They've been putting clips out, and so he's been. I should need to clarify that he did some kind of interviews somewhere, and clips are showing up on Facebook and TikTok and stuff like that. This guy, for a guy who runs a company the size of Ford, he has no clue what goes on in the service bays, nor does he care, as Chuck says. He doesn't give a shit, but he will speak on it. I just don't know why, I wake up this morning, there's 120 bays or whatever the hell he said, 120 thought we're techs short, we're this, nobody wants to be this, and I don't know, it's not a parts problem. No, it's a procedure problem. The dealerships, from the manufacturer squeezing the dealerships on warranty times and everything like that, cutting warranty times when they're figuring this stuff out. We talked about it on the Mr. Master Tech and Chris Craig podcast. Okay, it's once again, it's a leadership from Ford, then the management of the dealerships trying to make all their money on commission and flat rate and all that stuff, or with flat rate. In the salesmen and all these guys, or the service advisors, are on commission. They're the ones that have the broken thing. The technician's the one that has to live in this world.
Oh, all of them basically end up eating the mistakes of bad management and bad leadership. Like, quite frankly, I've seen the clips and I watched a portion of the interview from that Ford CEO, and I also saw some of your episodes on it. My mind is like, if this guy took a day, just showed up at a random dealership. Don't say he's the CEO. Just walked in as a random guy or said he was
undercover boss.
Undercover boss. Literally, if he undercover bossed it, he should. And he has I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's probably a smart guy. I mean, he's a CEO, for Christ's sake.
Right.
But he should be able to walk in there and within an hour or two see all the different problems and go, oh, wow, I really set this up to screw all my guys. Because it's not just, the techs are living with all the bad warranty times and all the mistakes from the bad processes. But even in the service advisors are eating, from the bad process, the bad surveys, all that too. Like, the system's just rigged to, quite frankly, in my opinion, crank down on the employees to squeeze as much out of them without and almost eliminate, to me, I feel like they eliminate a lot of the human factor and actually thinking about their people.
They don't care.
They
Yeah.
don't care. They will gladly throw people out the first chance they get. Especially, yeah.
I say that all the time, you know. There's a guy that has a podcast, and I've asked him to be on before. He doesn't go on podcasts. He does like a little 15-minute rant usually, and he's freaking right on point. He's like, when you're at the dealership and you're producing 110 hours a week, billable hours a week, and you're kicking ass, they're over there patting you on the back, saying what a great guy you as management's like, yeah, go boy, go. He's like, then all of a sudden we're slow for a week, and I'm not turning any hours. He's like, they walk by like I have fucking leprosy. They don't even acknowledge me. He's like, when I'm doing good for them, I'm the greatest guy in the world. But the minute I'm not making them assloads of money, they ignore me because they know that I'm getting screwed over there. Yeah, I did 100 hours last week. For the next 4 weeks, so I'm going to do 5 hours. So what does that all equate to? I'm not making shit. So it's very interesting to see this. And, you know, I always talk about people not knowing their numbers. The dealer is just the opposite. The dealers have got that shit broken down to the point where they freaking sit there and put the screws to people. Oh, we could just, if we just took this, got this CSI score, if it was instead of a 10, it was a 9, we can take $2,000 from each employee across our thing. We could save $20,000 a month on not paying bonuses, and they screw the people. And it's just insane to me.
Oh, I agree. It is insane. I mean, I find it just disappointing. A little bit of humanity dies in me when I see just bad management in. And honestly, what I see is if they keep doing this over the long run, eventually, I'm sorry, there's just not going to be enough techs wanting to work there and deal with that. There's not going to be enough people wanting to work there. And I mean, a lot of dealerships are struggling from what I see. You know, as they say, they're struggling to have techs. They're struggling to keep good quality people. They'll get the junk guys or the brand new guys who don't know any better.
Right.
But they don't usually get to retain their real quality people.
No, the only way they get to keep these guys if these guys have been there for 30 years and they're 5 years away from retiring and they're just like, fuck it, I'll just stick it out and ride off into the sunset because they're old and they don't like change, you know?
Yeah.
And that happens a lot, you know? It's kind of funny, you know, knowing your numbers is a big thing. And I always talk about knowing your numbers as a shop. But like, for instance, like I read an article a long time ago about the Larry Finn Hustler Club, the topless bars. And they had a theft problem. Okay, so what he did, not him himself, he was a fucking degenerate in a wheelchair, but his people went ahead and they said, okay, we're going to put fucking counters on how many times the toilets are flushed, how many times the freaking dishwashers are freaking turned on, how many times the triggers at the door and stuff like that. And they actually came out with the equations about, they could pretty much almost within, they said 8%, figure out how many people were moving in and out during the night. So they could actually stop the theft and everything like that. I thought that was pretty interesting to put metrics that broad on it. But if you think about it, you're moving a herd in, you're moving a herd out at a bar, you have all these metrics and stuff like that. I'd be willing to bet you if they really started doing the right surveys at these dealerships, they'd start to realize where the problems are. They're not it's not the flat rate tech producing, because he wants to produce. Like, what is the downside of a flat rate tech at the dealership not producing money? Or not turning hours. Nothing. He gets no paycheck, right? So he's going to want to do it. So the service advisors could be a little bit lazy or not really know what they're doing or not being really driven, because some are and some aren't. Like my brother's a badass service advisor. I guarantee he makes great money, and his guys like him because he'll go and he knows how to sell. He worked with me for a lot of years, right? So we learn how to sell. But think about some of these service advisors that don't know shit. And you had to see it when you were then a brand new guy sitting in the seat, and you're like, you know anything? You don't know.
No, they don't know anything, or even worse, they get put, at least at my dealership, what I saw is they would get pushed by management, especially when there was a management shift. The new big guy was pushing, you need to push as much crap as possible, as many upsells. We need to, and they had my opinion, they had a very aggressive maintenance plan. I have no problem with maintenance. Maintenance is a great thing for customers, in my opinion, keeping your car going. But they would push as much crap and as much upsells as they could on these customers. And I know a lot of customers, whenever I talk with anybody, if they go to the dealership, they usually are complaining, oh my God, I don't want to hear all their upsells after I've been sitting for an hour, hour and a half, waiting for my oil change. I just want the damn oil change. Things like that.
Standard procedure is you have to sell a certain percentage of your customers. Like for instance, if you have to sell 10% of your customers per service advisor for the month alignments.
Okay.
You have to sell 10% of your customers air filters. They have an actual chart that the service advisor are required to sell 10% of their customers a certain thing. So out of 100 cars, you have 10 of them are going to get an alignment.
Yeah.
Okay. Chances are, I would have to say in Michigan, pretty much every car could probably have an alignment check. But I guarantee every one of them cars didn't come in and go, hey, my car's taking a right turn without go. The steering wheel is steering wheel's crooked, blah, 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 blah. No. They're, oh, hey, guess what? We sell. So basically, they're pushing this narrative like, okay, how do you sell the alignment if all 100 of your customers are like, I didn't have a problem with it driving. I know, but
it's going to protect your tires. And which made fair, but do they really need it? You know?
Right. Transmission flushes is the only thing I'll say that needs to happen, and coolant flushes needs to happen at the manufacturer's recommended or before interval, because fluids are thinner, tolerances are tighter. We have different types of metals in these transmissions. There's a lot of different things going on that people just don't get. It's not 1985 anymore. When you change your fluid, it kills your transmission stuff. We do transfusions now. I think a lot of that stuff's important. But I think some of this other stuff is just getting jammed down people's throats, because at the end of the day, it's an investment group.
Yeah.
Okay. And a guy like me, I might sell people everything they need, not everything I want to sell them, right? I'll look at them and go, yeah, your cabinet air filter's dirty, and here's a picture of it. There's a fucking bird stuck in it, okay? There's no arguing with me when I tell you. So we send pictures. We don't rip people off, This is what you need. Here's the price. I'm sorry it sucks to be you, but here it is. We're not doing the hard sell like the dealerships are and shit like that. It's just I think that they're giving people a really bad taste on the way they do things, because these investment groups are buying them, and it's nothing but how much profit they can make out of these things before they roll it up and sell it to another investment group, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's how I like to handle my customers whenever me as a mobile mechanic going out. I try to, as much as possible, take photos of anything that I find, take a short video. If it's they got a loose component, I will do my best to video it so they can actually see it's loose. Oh, I see that. And because that builds trust. And I even write up like a whole report of, here's your concern. Here's everything that I found on my examination. I'll even dig into TSBs and forums on these vehicles to find common failure points, see if it is a common failure point, things like that. Just try to really build so the customer can get a complete picture, because most of these customers are painfully undereducated on how to take care of their vehicle.
Absolutely.
But I'll say that these dealerships take advantage of that by just trying to upsell every little thing without any sort of transparency, without seeing, do they actually need it? Instead, as you mentioned, I didn't know about the quotas. I mean, it makes sense now why they're pushing so hard then to sell all this stuff, because they have to make their quota. But it's just, I don't think that's the right way to handle a customer, by trying to sell on a quota instead of what does this car actually need, showing the customer, educating them, you need this and why you need this, and just taking care of them. It's a matter of taking care. Like I bet you wouldn't want to let your friend or your uncle drive, with a half shot control arm, or with their transmission that's gone 15 or 100,000 miles without at least a drain and fill or something.
No, and I would agree. I'll tell you a story. So my wife's Yukon, it's a 2023 Yukon, and it has a 6 poo in it. We change the oil in the shop, at my shop. We're all certified mechanics. We use the right oil. We use the right filter. We start it up. It's got spins a main bearing. Donk, 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 donk. Take it over to the dealer. Yep, motor went bad. Just like everyone, there's a recall. Okay. They got it done in about 3 weeks, which I was really impressed. So then we bring it over to the shop, and for whatever reason, Jason, we went over to pick it up. It was missing the trailer hitch cover. My son and Jason go, hey, missing the trailer hitch cover. Instead of the service advisor going, oh, shit, let me go look, he's like, well, it wasn't on there. And my son's like, my mom doesn't pull trailers with her Yukon. It was on there. So it comes out back. Yep, found it. Put it on. So that kind of piqued Jason and Lincoln's interest. So they take it over to the shop. They raise it up on the alignment rack. They look. The fan shroud's in it crooked. The wiring harnesses are hanging. There's no alternator bracket. The wiring's hanging by the alternator, and it's hitting the belt as it goes around. On the left-hand side, the PCM connectors are all hanging. They're not in the clips. So they take it back, complain a little bit. Yep, we'll take care of that. They put the stuff back in. We get it back. There's no bracket on it. So I go over to the manager or the dealer. And I'm like, I bought several trucks here, and I kind of got in an argument. This is bullshit. So we take it back the second time. They magically find the bracket. You could tell it was an old bracket. Put it on for the alternator. Do all this stuff. We get it back. We drive it like 2,000 miles. We stop at a light. It smells.
Really?
Raise it up on the alignment rack. We put our smoke machine in it. Both exhaust manifolds are loose at the Y pipe. Then the clamp over where the Y pipe goes into the head pipe is loose and leaking there. We take it back again. They're like, yep. So now the service advisor looks at me and I'm like, this is bullshit. Well, we never had a problem with this technician. He's like, why are you looking all over this car? Most of our customers don't raise their cars up in the air. I'm like, well, we happen to be a shop and half the shit was messed up. So we started looking. This is what we found. So I guess the shop foreman and the service manager went through and fixed everything. But I have a cold today. Just so everybody knows I'm going to be nasally. So when you guys say, oh, he's nasally. No shit. I have a cold and I'm coughing and I keep itching my nose just so everybody knows. I can figure out, fucking tell them now, right? Because they're going to be like, he's nasally. Can't believe he coughs so much. You'll have another cigarette. I don't smoke. I don't vape. It's called a cold.
It happens to everybody.
Yeah, no shit. Oh, no, it doesn't happen to the trolls on fucking TikTok or Facebook. The trolls, they just have things to say. So, they don't get colds.
No.
No, their heads are up their ass, so they're always fucking warm. So, now we got the truck back, and she pulls up the other night, and I look, and you know how it has GMC underneath the back where you can put your foot to open the tailgate? Yeah. It's got a freaking, looks like a glass. It's like round, but it's just like broken glass. They broke that fucking sensor. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even gonna take it back. I told my son, just order the sensor. I'll just put the fucking thing in myself. But like, I'm a guy that has the means to fix something like that. Can you imagine a customer not knowing what they're doing and like that wiring getting stuck in the freaking belt, rip the wiring harness out, it has to be towed in. And there's a big fight and they're not educated. My point is they're not educated to fight with the dealer about shit like that.
Oh, exactly. And the thing is, if you didn't lift it up, you probably wouldn't have noticed until, as you said, it gets caught in the fan, rips it out. God forbid it happens after the warranty is up, and now they're completely screwed on that because of the tech didn't take the time. Now, I will say, for the dealership, obviously, they're giving them warranty time. I kind of understand on one hand why the tech maybe was trying to be rushed and quick about it, but it is the responsibility of the tech to make sure that vehicle is put together correctly, that everything is torqued to spec and not just ooga-dooga'd and shoved in and missing components, because that's how accidents happen. That's how people get killed. Now it sounds like most of it wouldn't have killed anyone, thankfully, but it could have destroyed the car. Or it could have caused all sorts of other problems. I mean, like when you're a technician, when you're working on somebody's car, to an extent, you're putting that person's life is in your hands, and you have to take the time to do it right. Even if you're losing time on it. At least for me personally, that was one problem that I had at the dealership, is a lot of these techs, honestly, just at least to me, they seemed like they really didn't care. They would do just enough to, they try to find every trick in the book, which good, you should be trying to optimize your time, but they wouldn't have the care to make sure those wirings got back in the right spots, or if a plastic clip broke, they just leave it. Who cares? And it sounds like some of those little things aren't a big deal, but it's the difference between just getting it done, getting out of the way, and actually taking care of the person.
Right, exactly. And I will tell you what I thought to myself with this broken ass dealer system, dealer model, is that thing got taken back. The second time, I don't know who worked on it, but the third time that thing was taken back, the service manager and the shop foreman worked on it. So what does that tell you? They wanted that guy producing, so their numbers didn't get screwed up. So that really guy never really even got to take his time out of the day to fix what he didn't fix. He didn't have time to do it the first time. And I always tell my guys, you didn't have time to do it the first time, but look at you now, you have the time. Imagine that, right? Mm-hmm. That guy never even, from the sounds of it, never even had to deal with any of it.
Probably not. I mean, it's just a shame that, that guy, probably what happened is they probably handed it off to somebody else because they handed it, or maybe their thought was, well, we should have the foreman work on it to make sure it's done right. But then it's like, why are you letting this tech that's clearly messed it up not know
Off
and
the
not
hook.
handle it. Yeah, you're letting them off the hook. Exactly.
Oh, he's got to get this done. If we don't do that, then this guy's hours are going to be off and he's going to be mad. And then, the manager's going to be like, your hours were low in the heavy department last week. You had 2 to do and he had to do that. Like, think about how fucked up is the system to do that to people? And so let's switch gears now. I think we've driven that freaking beaten that horse. I just wanted to, have a fresh perspective. Let's talk about the struggles you have or you have coming up now. It's like we were talking before the podcast, like, okay, now you're competent. It sounds like you could do your brakes, your front ends and stuff you're certified in, right? Yeah. In your mobile business. So now you have to start dealing with insurance companies, for yourself, liability insurance. Yep. You have to start buying tools, scan tools, subscriptions, shop management programs, you name it. As a business owner, you got to buy it, right? Tools. You don't have these specialty tools. You got to go buy them. So are you going to build these into the jobs? Well, I don't know. I'm a new business owner. How do I do that? Like shop supplies, brake clean's not free. I'll tell you what, my guys, Jason told me, he's like, holy shit, when I opened my own shop, my barn, I could not believe how expensive that shit is. I go, yeah, now you're like, yeah. I said, when you're at the dealer, you're like, posting that shit down. When it's yours, you're like, it's true, right?
It's the absolute truth. Like when you're paying for your own supplies, all of a sudden it goes from, let's burn half a can on this thing too. Okay, let's maybe take a little rag, clean it up. You know?
You've been using the same rag for 4 fucking days. So I will tell you, I remember when I first I bought Steve out of my first business, and I remember the lonely feeling. And most people won't understand this unless they've been here, how scary it is when it's all of a sudden your money. You're not working at the GMC dealer. So all of a sudden you're going to buy them brakes from the auto parts store and them pads and this, and you're spending real money. And then all of a sudden you're looking at your auto parts bill and like, holy shit, my auto parts bill is $4,000 this month or $2,000 this month. Oh God, I have to know that I have to charge enough on these jobs to pay for everything I just have to buy, the specialty tools and everything, then make sure I can pay O'Reilly's and then have enough money to put here so I can go ahead and pay for the next job. It gets a little dicey when you really don't know markups. So let's talk about how you're starting to navigate that whole situation. Because I know as a new business owner, you're probably like, holy shit, right?
Oh, it's intense. And I mean, while I try to do my best I have to try to balance, because I don't want to buy the cheapest junk parts, because that I'm just going to be losing my ass on warranty at the end of the day. So I know I have to get good parts. I have to keep my even if they're the more expensive, I'm paying a good portion on parts, and I'm running most of my business I'm keeping on cash. So a little bit is right now I'm kind of job to job, building up a bit of a cash reserve so that I can just pay out of cash. I'm not having to take debt, because I don't know if you watched Dave. Well, I know you've seen Dave Ramsey, and I try to embody a lot of his philosophy of try to keep as much cash, bootstrap as much as I can. I'd rather build this business a little slower, even if that means, and rather it be on my dime than, God forbid, I'm taking on a bunch of other people's dime that I can't pay back, and then I'm screwed. That's at least my philosophy on it. But yeah, and there's a lot of different aspects with the job. I mean, I have to figure out, is my labor rate enough? Because you probably hear it all the time. There's people complaining, oh, it's so expensive to get whatever done. It's so expensive to get my brakes done. It's so expensive. Like, they quoted me $1,000, and it's like, part of me is like, well, you're taking it to a professional shop. You're having, they're doing pads and rotors on it, which you should be doing unless you actually know and have the tools to properly, grind down your rotors to the right specifications. Turn your rotors. That's the word for it. All that stuff. And as far as the shop tools, it can be expensive. I mean, for my specialty, if it's like a very specialized tool for that car, I'll admit, I'll talk to the owner of the vehicle and be like, hey, if you want me to do this job, I'm going to have you buy this tool. This will be your tool. I'll let them keep it. And because it's that very specialized tool for that job. Now, most of the time, I just end up I just kind of have to wing it, and you know what? Fine, I'll just buy the tool and hope. And if I use it again, I use it again. But it's definitely an interesting thing, and sometimes I have to do some things like I know the part stores have like a rental program, and sometimes I've had to just do that just because like I have my coolant pressure tester just broke on me on a job, and I'm like, crap, this thing I've been using for years and it's worked just fine. And I had to run up and rent one just to get the job done. But it's like all these little problems at the dealership or if people who, you aren't really worried about as a tech, you having to have the shop has their tools, but now you have to own all your tools and all those different expenses, like you mentioned, those different subscriptions for scan tools, the shop management software. I'll admit right now, as I'm bootstrapping it, I don't have a professional shop management software. I'm doing everything off grids and Google Sheets and doing what I can to still keep it looking very professional, but you're trying to do what you can with what you can work with.
So let's back up here. So here's one of the problems I see inherently with guys that are starting out in business. No matter what, Uncle Detroit Edison, the mortgage company, and all these people come to you, your rent, whatever, however you live, they don't stop.
No.
So as a new business owner, you're like, holy fuck, if I tell this guy it's going to be $200 to do it, he's not going to do it. I'm just going to tell him $125 and he'll probably do it and I'll make a little bit of money, but I'll get the job and I won't be going home today. That's the new business guy mindset, right? When you get seasoned, you'll be like, okay, he needs brakes, he needs rotors, he needs this. It's 1.5 hours, whatever. The rotors, the markup, 1.67 is 40%, It's going to be $962. Well, the shop was $1,300. Guess what? You're already cheaper, number one. Number two, guess what? You probably made $400 or $500 on that job. Your coolant tester breaks, you already have the money built in a job. You go spend $80 on a coolant tester, life goes on. It makes your life easier if you know how to mark up your parts and know your value. The problem is, don't take this offensive because I'm not doing it. Guys like you run around and you're so scared to ask for that sale. You don't ask for that sale. You go cheaper and you cut your own throat and you drive the market down around you.
No, you're not rude at all. That's exactly what I have to fight with. I'm slowly I feel like I'm getting a little over that and at least feeling a little more bold because before I was charging only like $75 for labor and I'm like, okay, I need to at least push this up a little bit. And I also have to just not discount because right now, even though I'm charging under what I should be, I still see like I don't have room to discount. I have to just, here is my number. And it's sometimes hard because I fight myself in my mind. I'm like, would I pay for that?
But yeah, so going back to, you have to know how to market yourself, number one, and you can't be the cheapest guy, especially in the type of work you're doing. I mean, that's freaking Bell Tire, like, and all these people that just overcharge the living shit out of people. They charge a healthy dollar at the shops. They're definitely going to be way more than you. And you have to understand something too. Think about all the time you're saving these people. Let's go ahead and put this into perspective. My wife's car needs brakes. She's like, hey, my car's making some funny noise when I press on the pedal, and you being a guy, you're like, yeah, your brakes are probably grinding. Okay, well, let's figure out when we can get it to the shop. Okay, let's call the local shops. Oh, they're 3 days out. Okay, let's call this shop. They're 3 days out. They spend a bunch of time on the phone trying to figure out where they're going to take the car, right? Then they figure out where they're going to take the car. It's going to sit for 4 days. And then he has to figure out, okay, I got to leave work early because my wife's got to drop the car off. I got to follow her there in the morning. It's just a big mess of logistically getting the car to the shop, right?
Absolutely.
Sits 4 or 5 days. Then guess what has to happen? You pay online a link. You go after hours. You still, as a husband, have to go pick up your wife or your wife at the big owner. Think about what you solved that problem.
Absolutely.
So why should you be 50% cheaper than everybody else when you're solving a problem? Yep, here, Mr. Mobile Mechanic, here I am. Guess what? You need front brakes and rotors. Okay, it's going to be $999.62. I could have it done in 2.5 hours. What do you want to do? Well, go ahead and do it. Okay. Hey, $996, that's kind of expensive. Yes, it is. But my suggestion to you is you guys take it to a shop, get an estimate and stuff like that, and let me know if you want me to come back and do it because I'm going to be way cheaper than the shop. And guess what? I'm here. I'm standing in front of your car right now. I can get this shit done. You'll be driving to grandma's with fresh new brakes here in 2.5 hours. Or you want to go down the street and pay more. That's up to you. I'm not here to do the hard sell. I'm just telling you what you need. This is my price. Well, can I make payments? Absolutely, you can make payments. How? One payment when I'm done. If you want to use a credit card, there's going to be a 4% charge. Why would you charge a 4% charge? Because I'm cheaper than the other guy, and I can't, on top of it, eat the credit card charge. Other guys in the podcast in the comments will go, "Oh, you need to build it into their labor rate." So let me get this straight. We're going to go ahead and raise your labor rate 4%. You're going to penalize everybody, and your credit card charges now for yourself are going to be more because you raised your labor 4%. Just charge the people that use credit cards a credit card processing fee. The people pay with checks, certified checks or cash. You don't have to worry. We don't take personal checks. We just don't, because people are assholes. They bounce checks, and then you're going to try to go get your money. And as a new guy in this business, you cannot afford to get dicked on a $600 bill.
That's a good point. I'll admit I've been kind of nice in letting people give personal checks, and thankfully it hasn't happened yet. But you're right. It's so easy for someone to just not have the money there and have the check bounce, and then what am I going to do? Go to their house? I mean, I know where their house is, but still, I'm not going to go get my money.
I would. I fucking have. I don't play that game, but I will tell you another thing that you're dancing with the devil in the pale moonlight here. We're talking a little Batman, the Joker. You not having a shop management program, you think you can't afford it. You can't afford not to have it. Let me tell you why. There are certain laws for repair facility that you have to follow and adhere to. If you don't, then you do a job on somebody's car and they take you to court. Your repair facility license is going to get taken away. Because you probably had to have a repair facility license, right?
Get a repair.
Okay. If you're not following the laws, have the right proper verbiage on there and stuff like that, you're breaking the repair facility law. You're going to probably lose, and you're probably going to lose your insurance and everything. So it really sucks. Shop management programs are a couple $100 a month, $325, $250, whatever. But it's almost like, okay, I have to charge them. And what that's going to do for you, it's going to go ahead and you're going to say, okay, my shop supplies are going to be baked in. I'm going to get this, going to calculate my shop supplies. It's going to do me my markup, so I don't have to use the spreadsheet. I'll be able to do it, and it'll tell me the markups I need to mark and what's my overall profit on the job. That's going to fix a lot of your problems right away.
Okay.
As much as it pains me to tell you to buy a shop management program so you don't get sued.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I did look. I'll admit I did some research on the law and read through. It's a long freaking law to read through, but I did read through, and I've put what I read and found to put on there. I know you have to put for me, it's because I'm mobile. It's a little weird because there's supposed to be a plaque on the wall that says certain thing. It has to have any estimate over $50, which I can't put it on the wall because obviously I don't have a shop. But I put it on my estimate, and then separately on each estimate, you have to have the thing about if you in the state of Michigan, it's like you can look at the parts after.
But they have to return unless there's a core. Absolutely.
Yeah, which I have those at least on the estimate. But you're right. There's probably other things. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. Well, I did go and try to read through and try to educate, do the best I can. You're right. There could be something else in there that I don't know that,
Do you know that you have to have permission to text people when you're a business?
I actually didn't know that. Now, usually I have people text me. I kind of take that as inherent.
Yeah, but it's really weird the way the law is written. It's like if you're soliciting back and forth for selling something, you actually had their permission. Like we had to put in our disclaimer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's like this craziest shit that you're like, okay, I just want to fix cars. I want to give people a good deal. Okay. And now here I am. I got to be a freaking lawyer. I got to be Denny Crane, from Boston Legal. You know what I mean? And have a 40-year law career to do this shit. It's insane.
No, you're right. And there's all sorts of laws and regulations, this and that. And I can try to do my best to educate myself. But obviously, I'm not a lawyer. There's clearly going to be things I'm going to miss, or there's things I'm going to misunderstand or misinterpret. And that's, And
there's the problem you run into. There's always that guy that always knows to work the angle to dick you. That's the freaking problem we run into nowadays. It's like CYA, cover your ass, it has gotten so big. Like here at the collision shop, I make the guys take pictures all through the process. We have pictures of all through the process. That way, if somebody says, you didn't prime that, you didn't fix it this way, you didn't do this, we could pull out the pictures. I just finished a guy's motorhome that was a big job. He got a 25-page work order when he got done. It was 25 pages. I'm not even lying. I'm going to go get it.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to show, because this would be a good for people, because it's...
Yeah, I thought mine were big at, I have maybe a 3 or 4 page, because sometimes I'll actually try to put together, a whole report, write up everything for my customer, have pictures of what I find and what I do, but that takes the cake. I thought mine were big. Sometimes I have a 3-4 page work order, because I do try to write up everything and document everything and take some pictures.
Back. All right. So this guy this was a huge job. So we actually had to, this is page 6. What I do if it's a huge job and there's money going back and forth and I get several checks, and then outside of the insurance, what the insurance does, the customer has to pay the insurance shortfall. I put it all on paper. Then you can see that close up. There's 25 pages right there on this repair order. And here's the closing statement I put in. Okay, I write up a closing statement with all how the money and the checks went. That way there's no... And here's all the different pictures, pages of pictures. Just because I've been burned, where they're like, hey, you can't do this or you didn't do that, I could pull it out and look, that's 25 pages. Okay? Oh, that's a lot of paper. That's a lot of wasted. That's this, that's that. But my thought is, if I go to court,
You got that.
how's that going to look? I have everything. And on a lot of these guys, if they're a problem, we have our phone system records the calls. So in our shop management program, and if you have an iPhone, you can record calls. And a lot of times in the shop management program, I'll drop the phone calls in there too. So we'll have all the discussions and everything. So if we have a problem with somebody, a couple times we've had a problem with these people, like, they charge you back on a credit card. That's a new thing. And we'll send the phone calls to the credit card company, all the paperwork and stuff like that. We don't lose. We have all the signatures adhering to the law. And, a lot of times the credit card companies have their own guidelines too.
Yeah.
Like you cannot take credit cards over the phone. PCI compliance, okay? They're basically saying you give me a credit card over the phone, okay, that was never there. Yeah. So it's fraud. So you have to have PCI compliance. So a lot of these shop management programs, you could send a link so you never see their credit card. So that's how you get around that. There's just so much that goes into this business that back when we started, hey, Mrs. Smith, you need brakes. Okay, go ahead and do it. Okay, ma'am, can I get the last 4 of your social security number? Why do you need that? Just to prove I talked to you. Okay. You write the last 4 on the corner of the repair order. That way, if something ever came up, you're like, hey, I got the approval. How do you know? How do we know? Well, she gave me the last 4 of her social security number. Why else would she give it?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. I've seen one shop at the shop I worked at, they would do either last 4 of the social or birthday. Same idea. But you're right. That's how it used to be. But no, I try to do my best. I usually take photos all around the vehicle. I scan the vehicle first thing before I do anything with it, so I see whatever codes are there.
Perfect.
Take a picture of the dash. I'll turn it on briefly just so I can see if any lights are on.
Yep. Leave it running because you have the sentia.
Yep.
The sentia factor. Okay. Like a lot of times, us being in the shop, we're busy. Me included. When I was a tech, I would go out there and I would pull the car in. I would do this. I do that, and I get all done with it. And like, fuck, the ABS light's on.
And you don't know whether you did it or not.
Did I do it? Did I do something? And then you're like, I don't know. But you could go back to these pictures now and be like, yeah, it was already on.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that's covered your ass because, a lot of these customers aren't honest anymore. They're like, I was never on.
Yeah, and they'll just try to shove it on you.
And they try to shove it on you. And you're like, well, wait a second. I wasn't even nowhere near the rear ABS sensor. I was doing a freaking tune-up. But you did it. You did it. You have a big fight,
Now, I think I've just gotten very lucky that I thankfully haven't had any fight like that. I think part of it is a little bit of... yes. No, you're right. Knock on wood. But no, because I think a little bit of it also because I'm coming to their house because I'm a person, not necessarily. They don't necessarily see me in the same way I think a big company. So far, I haven't had anyone who's been a big asshole and jamming and trying to bend my arm. But you're right. It obviously can come up, and it probably will, and that's why I still try to cover my ass with taking pictures, documenting, scanning the vehicle, putting together a whole report of everything and send it to them. But at the end of the day, I could do all that, and someone could still turn around and try to. It
sounds like you're doing a lot of the stuff right. So it's not like I'm freaking bashing you. Like when you give them an estimate, do you get a signature from them? How do you get an estimate approval?
So I'll admit my estimate approval usually has been through text or verbal, which I realize is not the best because I don't have a
text is fine. I don't.
Okay, that's fair.
We don't do verbal unless we make them call the shop phone when they say, okay, what you're saying is you're approving $996.52 for front brakes, this, on this repair order number. This phone call is recorded. Do you agree to that? Yes, go ahead and do it. At that point, you drop the phone call and you're good to go.
No, that's a good point. I do thankfully have the ability to record calls. I don't know why I never thought to do that, but that's a really good idea because that covers my ass so they can listen to the phone
You just have to start thinking every freaking thing you do, it's like you have to cover your ass. It's just it's a shitty situation that we're in. The world has come to this, but it kind of has to be the way it is. We have to protect ourselves. We have one at Garrett Auto and Truck right now. It came in with a leaking water pump and a coolant tube had eroded and it was leaking. It went through the O-ring and it was leaking. We did a bunch of work to fix the radiator, clean the radiator, do all this stuff. but we never could get the thing to overheat. They said, hey, when we're pumping the cement with this thing at 2,800 RPMs, it, overheats. We're like, well, it was low on coolant. The water pump's leaking, needs a belt, and fix this tube that was leaking. And then we'll run it and see what happens. Well, we ran it. Nothing ever happened. Oh, the thermostat was stuck open a little bit. It was melted. So we're like, okay, obviously water pump leaking, coolant low, melted the thermostat. Okay, we'll just cover all this. But the one thing we did that saved our ass is we said we ran this truck at 2,800 RPMs as the customer stated with the pump on. So the engine was loaded on the truck. The truck never got over 205 degrees, I think it was. We ran it for 2 hours. So no other problem has presented itself. We are not saying there's no other problem. But right now, after we did this, it is not acted up. It's not overheating. We've test driven it 2 times. We ran the pump, blah, 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 blah. It went away for 2 days. They called this morning. They said, we ran 108 bags of cement through this thing. 4 hours in at 2,800 RPMs, it overheated and melted the coolant bottle. What's the warranty on your work? Well, there's no warranty on our work. Is the water pump leaking? No. Is the pipe we put on it leaking? No. We told you there could possibly be another problem. How could we test after we did that repair? How can we do that rigorous of testing? Can you bring us 108 bags of concrete so we could run them through and just pump them into the sewer? We put a huge freaking paragraph covering our ass. And the guy's like, I see what you said, that you really did. He's like, I get it. Is there anything you could tell us? Yeah, we didn't know if there was another problem. It was not presenting itself. There's no pressurizing of the cooling system, nothing. We did not have another problem. So think about if we wouldn't have said any of that.
Oh, they would have raked you over the coals, and that you wouldn't have any leg to stand on. You're right.
So this goes back to a lot of these people being these new business owners not having enough money to actually be in the business arena, so they don't think that they need to cover their ass. They're always one bad job away from freaking losing everything they own. So they automatically side with, well, if I do it cheap enough, they won't get mad at me. And that's not the right answer. If you really stop thinking, have you ever had that mindset?
I have, and that's been a little bit of like, well, if I do it cheap enough and I just be like really good to my and I will say I try to do my best to help my customers. I'll tell you a real quick story. I had a nice guy he does plowing, plow truck. So he hired me to do an oil pan and a rear diff service. Well, 2 days later, apparently the rear diff was leaking a little bit, and he had to go plow that at 2 a.m. I went out there at 10 o'clock at night. I did the whole service over again, double, trip. I literally went with my torque wrench, I think 5 times over every single bolt, making damn sure it is torqued to the spec, every single one. And it handled it. He was fine. He was perfectly happy with it. But a little bit of me was like, I lost my butt on this. I charged him, I think, $40 to do it. He supplied the fluids, which I know I need to be charging my own parts and my own so I get that markup. But in my mind, I was like, I should have charged a real amount, that like a much better amount, because that would have covered me, so I wouldn't completely have lost my butt. And at least if I'm out here at 10, 11 o'clock at night fixing his truck for him, he was super grateful for it, and I felt good about it. I made sure he was taken care of, but that sucks. I should be compensating myself and planning that in my margins a little bit.
Let's far-fetch this whole rear end thing.
Yeah.
So he says he needs to do a rear end service on my truck. You're like, okay. You're charging $40. He gives you the fluid. You clean it all up, fill it all up, which is a bitch, right? Oh, yeah. Now it's kind of cool. They got the little soft packs now.
Yes, I bought one of those and just refilled it with the other stuff. But yeah.
So you fill it all up. He decides he needs to go to Ohio that night. The rear end burns up, locks up. Freaking he's in the ditch, flips it over, totals the truck. Nobody gets killed. His insurance company calls you. Hey, you just did a service on the rear end. Okay. Yeah, we have it at a dealership, and they're saying it has the wrong fluid in it, and the rear end failed. You're the professional. You should have known better. What do? That's the kind of shit that happens. That's a far-fetched analysis. Everybody in freaking Facebook and TikTok land, just hear me.
That's like a worst-case scenario, but you're right. Because honestly, if that happened, I'm screwed. I'm out of business, quite frankly.
And probably could, if you're an LLC, they can't take nothing. There's nothing. They're not going to pierce through and hit your house. But
still,
that's the kind of shit that people don't understand. That like fluids and stuff like that. Like rear end fluids, believe it or not, and some of these vehicles are tough. Everyone's different. You ever notice that? The newer, like everything's different.
Oh yeah, and
You
I
know,
have to research like
right.
yeah.
So you're going to trust the freaking bubblegum little punk at the O'Reilly's or whatever, and he's the same guy that asks you if your truck is 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive when you're getting wiper fucking blades. Like it matters, So, I don't let people bring their own parts because number one, I want the money. Hear me now. I want the money. I am a greedy shop owner. I mark everything up 600% so I can afford cool shit. That's what everybody online thinks, right? But they don't understand overhead and everything else. Not to mention, I pick the right parts. I pick the right quality. I'm not going to, you see all these guys doing TikToks about, yeah, this car came in with some weird problem. Then we come to find out it's an Amazon coil pack, from Beijing, China causing all these problems or this or that. Like, it costs you so much more time trying to deal with people's parts. So we just don't do it. So I don't let people, as a policy, they do not bring their parts. If you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. Now, I have a couple of really good customers that the one guy, he needed a mirror for his truck and they bought it. They were going to put the mirror on. Then all the studs broke. And he's like, Kevin, we were going to put the mirror on. You're busy. He broke all the studs. Can you fix it? Yeah, bring it. I'll pop the mirror on for you. He doesn't care.
But those are like good customers and they probably already got a good part.
Right. He spends $100,000 with me a year per truck. Okay, I will put a fucking mirror on he brought. It's not a big deal. But you understand where I'm going with this, where the liability, you have to be careful nowadays because you're in the big boy world. And if they're going to look at somebody, insurance company's going to look at somebody. If I'm State Farm and my client's truck's flipped over in the ditch, and then my State Farm goes, I picked it up from the shop. Everything, what? The shop? Okay, let's call the shop's insurance company because now State Farm doesn't have to pay that money. They're coming after your insurance company.
They're going to at least damn well try.
Right. Yeah. So that's the kind of stupid shit that people get nicked on and ruins their life. And it's just like, there's no class on becoming a shop business owner because every situation is different. It's not staple, right? So it's the little things we learn going through it. And let me tell you, I wasn't always a pro at doing this. I messed up a lot of shit, cost myself a lot of money over the years, and you just have to kind of keep cultivating the new problems. I mean, there's new problems all the time.
Oh, yeah. And I know my problems probably were your problems 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where now your problems are on a completely different scale to mine. But it's a matter of just going through, trying to weather the storm, figuring it out, learning, adapting. And I appreciate everything you've been telling me and showing me because I'm realizing, I knew there was liability, but I never even thought about the insurance angle that you pointed out. If something worst case scenario, it gets in a ditch and that's on my ass.
Somebody's paying the piper, right? Because insurance companies are the biggest crooks around. They'll charge you a crazy amount of money, but they don't want to freaking pay, when it comes to paying it out, they don't want to, help people. It's kind of nuts. There's a cost analysis benefit on stuff. We're running into a lot of this stuff now where they're totaling trucks out because they don't even want to deal with the shops fighting with them. So they're totaling trucks out there where it's more money than scrap value. Like we had a Silverado, nice ass truck. It hit in the front end. It looks like you need a core support, a radiator, some bumper brackets and stuff. They totaled it. The guy's like, they totaled my truck. We're like, what? And they just send it off to Copar and away it goes.
That's a shame. I mean, I guess there's some people I know that like to buy those totaled vehicles and refurbish them, whatever. That's their game. But like in general, I find that absolutely sad that insurance. I mean, at the end of the day, I kind of understand the philosophy or where they're coming from in the way of they're trying to make as much money as possible and they don't care who they have to squeeze. They want to collect as much money. They don't want to pay anything out.
For sure.
But the whole point of your business is to pay it out when I need it, So it's just, it's a sad world that we're living in and also I know a lot of these insurance companies are big corpo. At this point, they don't see anyone as a person. They see them as just a number. And how can we make those numbers go bigger?
Absolutely. How the CEO needs a bigger bonus this year, for sure. What do you do like when you come up? Have a drink if you want. We can switch the cameras. It's okay. That's straight vodka, by the way. That's your mobile mechanic. So you do some check engine light services and stuff, some drivability. How do you deal with that stuff? Do you get into it, diags and stuff like that?
So I can do diagnosis. I can diagnose your check engine lights, your drivability, your noises. However, I have a pretty good strict guide of what I can handle as far as like if I diagnose it and I find, for example, it needs timing. I know I don't want that liability of trying to rip it apart in somebody's driveway and one of those cogs goes and then all of a sudden I've blown up their engine, or and usually or if I have to drop a gas tank, there can be a lot of rusted components, as well as there's a fire hazard there. You have open gas sitting there, especially if they just filled it up. That's just a nightmare I don't want to deal with. So when it comes to things like that I consider more of a higher liability, a higher risk, or just something that I shouldn't probably be doing in a driveway. Like, I don't want to rip somebody's engine out in a freaking driveway. It just doesn't make sense to me. What I do is I will call around shops in the area that I have good reviews, or people that I've worked with, and try to collect quotes for my customer, and then I can come back to them. Hey, I found out this is your issue. I collected quotes from these different shops. Here you go. You can feel free, and I'll still charge them a diag fee. They're paying me to diagnose their car, but then I at least provide that value of, here's my documentation, here's everything I checked, here's what led me to believe that is your issue, pictures of my diagnosis, and then here's the quotes from different shops, so that way they can help take care of those issues, that issue, if it's like a big issue.
So do you charge an upcharge for that too? Because let's face it, you charge an hour for diag, right? It takes you an hour to do it. Do you spend another hour on the phone getting quotes for these people?
Probably. I actually should be. I realize I
would do a research and admin fee. Hey, you got an hour diag? This is my diagnosis. This is what you're going to need. Do you want me to call some of these shops around here and get you quotes, or do you just want to do it yourself? It's $200 for me to go around, an hour, whatever, $100 for me to call around and do this. Yeah, go ahead and do it. I don't want to dick with it. Well, I know what to say. If you're slow, you're like, hey, I know exactly what to say. I know what the problem is. I tell them, that. But the problem is, I would be willing to bet you, if you call my shop and you're like, hey, I need you to get a quote on this job I diagnosed, I say, yeah, good luck, buddy. Bring it in. I'm going to charge them again to diag it. Have you ran into that yet?
I haven't, but I mean, obviously, I can definitely understand why a lot of shops would do that, because they don't want the liability of the last guy that diagnosed it. I at least try to make sure that I have everything written out and stuff, so a tech could look through it and they can at least see, here's his logic for the diagnosis. Here's the pictures of, the tester for fuel pressure or whatever. So at least there's a compelling point to show why they wouldn't need to diagnose it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like writing a story from the dealership, write out the whole story. So at least try to give the best chance of not having to. But I understand if a shop feels the need to, they want to cover their ass. I'm not going to argue it, but
I'll tell you something, and I'm not going to give you a big head. You're not going to walk out here like Conor McGregor. You do a lot of stuff right. You are probably one of the sharper guys I've talked to that started. Some of these guys, I swear to God, you're like, beat my head against the mic. It's just like, I'm like, you did what? I mean, at least you're trying to do the right thing. And in a lot of the cases, you're doing the right thing. You're just not taking it far enough. Now I have a feeling you're on the way home. You're going to be like, oh my God, I got so much shit to do. Like, it's like overload right now, right?
A little bit of like, okay, I got to really plan this and that.
I'm the worst fucking business owner ever. Oh my God, I have a shop management program. What the fuck? Why did he even go on that podcast? Oh my God, the guy sounds like he's all nasally. Who the fuck sounds nasally? I don't even think he has a cold.
I'll just say honestly, like, this is to me a gold mine, and I really appreciate you being willing to have me here and talking with you, because again, this is stuff I would have never thought about, and it would have eventually, I'm going to run into it, and it's going to either absolutely kick my ass or worst case bulldoze me. But at least us talking about it today, you bringing these things to my attention, you showing, hey, I've been on this path. I mean, obviously not mobile, but you've been down the path of being an auto repair shop.
I used to do mobile. We used to do mobile years and years ago. And I would actually go out and do this stuff, and I found back then it wasn't worth it. Everybody thought it was they wanted a deal.
And I still run into that of a lot of people wanting a deal, and
they're already getting a deal by you driving up to their house to fix their shit. That's the deal.
Yeah, it is.
On Monday.
Yeah,
that's the deal.
It's convenient as hell.
Yeah, here I am, because right now we're in the Amazon world. Okay, I call right now, and Amazon's like, it's under your pillow, baby boy. You know what I mean? It's true.
Absolutely.
It's the instant gratification, right now that's going on in the world. It's like, oh my God. I want to touch on one last subject that this seems to always get everybody all riled up. And I'm going to tell you, if you're a shop owner and you let people bring their own parts, you're probably not a successful shop owner. There is ratios. Parts and labor ratios. All the big boys use them, okay? If you're selling labor, it has to sell parts to go with it. Okay, I'm not going to get into all the freaking metrics and all that stuff like this. Okay, people are like, a lot of these guys, Tommy Tough Knuckles. Well, man, I write a disclaimer on my repair. No warranty, bro. It's just you bring your own parts. I put it on. If it goes bad, you're going to pay me to put it on again. I wrote a disclaimer. First of all, where did you get your law degree from? You didn't. You're not a lawyer, so you're probably not going to even adhere to the right freaking verbiage to get yourself in trouble. In California, if you put somebody's parts on, you're still responsible for warranting them. Okay,
That's California for you.
Yeah, that's the California, the fucking land of fruit and nuts for sure. But a lot of these guys, that's a lot of money to be leaving on the table. I mean, even if you're marking up the minimum, which nobody is, 20%, most guys are getting 30, 40% on parts. That's a lot of freaking money at the end of the year that you're leaving on the table. And I'm going to tell you something. The type of customers you get that bring your own parts are cheap customers. They're not the kind of customers you want. Let them go. Let your competition down the street make them miserable. You want to blow off the knuckleheads and look for the professional buyers. You could be in a subdivision, and rich people are usually the worst people to deal with. Hear me now. Rich people are usually the worst people to deal with. You'll go into a subdivision, there'll be huge houses. There'll be one guy, you'll be like, you need brakes, you need this, is this much money? He's like, yeah, great. When you're done, my wife will give you a check. Then there's the other guy that's right next door, the same size house and everything, same car. Wow, that much? You think you could do it like this? What if I refer my buddy to you? Well, that'd be really nice. You referred your buddy to me. But after I do your buddy's job and stuff like that, maybe I'll give you a gift card. Okay. My price is my price. I'm not going down. I'm not here to save you money. I'm here to, provide a service. And by me marking up my parts, I'm able to back up my parts with warranty and stuff like that because I'll have enough money. If I don't sell the parts, I don't make the parts markup, you save money, no doubt about it. Okay. That means I have to make a living on my labor only. Here comes the professional shop owners in the comments, or the people that don't even know what the hell they're talking about as shop owners. You should make all your money on labor. Okay, so let me get this straight. You have 2 technicians in your shop. You have 2 service advisors, and you're going to pay your bills, all your overhead, they'll set their salary with 2 guys turning wrenches with labor only.
The only way I could see that happening is if your labor rate was just astronomical.
Bingo. So that's no problem. I don't have to charge you for parts. Not a problem. You can bring your own parts. My labor rate is $450 an hour. What? Well, it has to be double. I did that for a split second. I'm like, it's not even worth my aggravation. I'm just not bringing your own parts. You're not bringing your own parts. If you don't want to do it, go down the street. It's fine. But you know what? A lot of the shops around me won't let people bring their own parts because of the fights. And you will sooner or later run into that. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
You always get the people that, they're in a hurry. Yeah. They don't want to pay you anything. Everything's an emergency, and they want to bring the wrong parts. Okay. So what happens if you get it all apart, you take the brakes all apart, and they didn't realize it's a 5-stud car versus a 4-stud car?
I actually had that happen to me with a lady with a Charger. Now, thankfully, she was nice enough to be like, oh, here's my card. Just can you run it up the store or whatever? I ran it up, did it, just got her the right fucking parts. But even then, that's like...
Who paid that time?
I ate that time.
So that already cost you money. Not to mention, think about this. What if that lady wasn't cool? Well, shit, put it back together and I'll order the right parts and I'll call you when they're in. But ma'am, that means I'm doing the labor twice. Are you going to pay me twice? I ain't paying you twice. That means it's more expensive, but I didn't order the wrong parts.
Yeah.
So it's simple. If you order the right parts and go get the right parts or bring the right parts with you, you know what you're doing. You're the professional. Mm-hmm. Why are we letting some freaking lady that's a dental hygienist pick out her parts? Because freaking Bob over at O'Reilly's knows exactly what he's not doing.
Or even worse, on some cars where there's 5 or 6 different sets of brakes and pads and whatever, which you can't even tell from the VIN. So you literally, I know on that Charger job, I had to pull everything apart, bring the shit to the parts store, compare them, lay them out on the table, make sure everything was right, because I wasn't going to sit around and try to dick around with the parts guy and figure it out. No, I'm just going to get it right and get out of there.
Let me tell you a little secret. You know how you get paid? Flat rate. You're a flat rate guy. Guess what you get? If you do a really good job, you get to keep your house, your mobile truck, your tools, and everything you own. If you do a good job. If you do a bad job, you're going to go broke. So most people don't think of business owners, oh, he's rich, he's this, he's that. I've done my time in the trenches. Yes, I made a lot of money over the years. Yes, I'm wealthy. My guys all make a lot of money too. I spread the wealth, but it's not came easy. It's not like I just turned the shop light on one day and people were flowing in and I was making all kinds of money and never had problems. I had to learn this stuff, just like you're sitting here talking to me, right? But a lot of people, a lot of these shop owners, they're so arrogant, they won't take the advice of other shop owners. You can learn something from somebody always, whether it be right or whether it be wrong. Okay? You can watch the way somebody treats their employees, and you don't have to like it, but guess what you learned? How you don't want to treat your employees.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I learned a lot of stuff from my original boss, how I don't want to do stuff. I also learned a lot of good stuff from him, right? I learned the business part of it somewhat to the point where I ran out past my experience. And as a new business owner, you know, you're going to be a sponge. Watch YouTube videos, you know, but you're going to have to decipher because there's a lot of bullshit out there too.
Oh yeah, but what I see is my philosophy has always been if I stop learning, like all the idiots, quite frankly, are the people that just stopped learning, thought I know everything there is to know about this, and just gave up. I always try to learn, pick up new things, see how other people are doing it. Like I'll admit, I do watch a good amount of YouTube videos on what people do, but you're right. You have to decipher because there is so much BS out there. There's so many wrong ways to do it. You have to find who's doing it well. And usually the guys who's doing it well, who's making that money, they're usually the guys giving good advice. The guys who are, you know, some nobody that's not making any money, that's just spouting their opinion, they don't actually know, you know, or somebody who's, in my opinion, the people who maybe they did some work, but they aren't successful in it. Usually the guys who aren't successful in it aren't the guys that know anything about it or really understand how to do it well.
No, and I would agree with that. And I always tell my son, Lincoln, I said, Lincoln, don't look at the picture, look in the background. He's like, why do you say that? I said, some guy's giving you advice, and he's sitting on a freaking rusty bucket and his shitty shack behind him, and he's sitting there telling you he's a financial guy. Do you think he'd be sitting in a shitty shack in a bucket? Maybe. Maybe he's got $10 million in the bank, right? But the point of the story is if the guy's sitting there saying, I'm wonderful at this and wonderful at that, and you go by his shop, I'm the best shop owner around, and you look at his stars, his reviews, and he's got all 1 stars, you know, and he's sitting there talking about this and talking about that, and you're like, you go by his shop and look in his parking lot, it's empty. You're like, either he's getting it all done, pissing everybody off, or he's great. What's the story here? Like, we know. Yeah. You know, I had a guy that I usually don't freaking knock other shop owners, and this was early on when I first started my TikTok. This guy would get on there, and he did this video this one Saturday morning. Ha! You called around the other shops in the area, right? She's like, yes, I did. And he's like, we're like $45 an hour cheaper than all these other people. She's like, yeah. He's like, that's right. You need to come to us. We're the cheapest around. We'll take care of you. And I'm like, okay, if you say that you're the cheapest around, what are you going to get? You're going to get the cheapest people.
And you're going to get the people that, yeah, all the cheap people, all the people that are going to, the moment anything slightly wrong, go after you with like vigor and you're going to get all those people that are going to, all the sue happy people, like all those type of people are going to be the ones flocking because they're the ones that are going after your price. In my opinion, I see like if you want to compete on, and also if you want to compete on price, you're dealing with the shade tree mechanics and the Facebook guys and nothing wrong with the guy who wants to make some money on the side, but that isn't a professional shop. That isn't somebody who can take care of you. Because something I think you've made clear is if you have the money to take care of somebody, like if you're charging the right amount, you have the money to take care of them when things go wrong. Where I see right now, anytime I've had to take care of someone, I'm losing my ass on it. I just have to accept it. But I realize if I'm charging the right amount, I shouldn't have to be losing my own shirt on jobs.
Yeah, writing a check for me to make a problem go wrong. If we screw someone that's $1,000 and the customer's all pissed off, I got to give the customer a refund for $1,000 or $1,500. I don't even usually care. Because I'm just like, I've been at this for so long. It's just, for me now, it's the peace of mind that I don't have to listen to the bullshit or we did wrong. And let's face facts here. Hear me now. We do shit wrong at my shop. We do.
Anybody that says otherwise is bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. We screw shit up and we write checks, okay? It's just the way it is. Anybody who's been in this business, we're all human. We are going to screw shit up, you know? And that's the thing, you know. Years ago, there used to be this company called Welcome Wagon. So anybody who moved into the community, they would send them coupons, a Welcome Wagon packet. You know, the Chamber of Commerce did. Do they still do that shit now? Welcome Wagon. Okay. Well, they're like, do a free oil change. You know, you do a free oil change, get them in from the community, show them you trust them. You know what I got? A bunch of broke ass people that wouldn't fix nothing that drove me insane. They were the most needy, entitled people. I remember the day I decided I was not going to freaking do that anymore. A guy came with a Windstar van. Remember the Windstar vans? That was years ago, right? Minivan. And we go to put it up on the rack, and it was on Rick Doremus's rack. I remember the van. It was gold, piss-colored gold. And we raise it up. He's like, the tie rod's like literally ready to fall off. We go up front, get the guy, like, yo, come here and look at this. It's ready to fall off. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. Okay. Write up the disclaimer. You know, it needs this, it needs that, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Do the oil change, the free fucking oil change, right? He goes to pull out of the driveway on Industrial Park Drive. When they did the last time, it's fixed now. 20 years later, they repaved it. But it used to have a pretty big drop. So when you go out of our driveway, you'd be like, clunk. He went out of our driveway. Guess what happened? Tie rod fell off. Freaking tire cranked. Freaking dented the fender. You know the whole 9 yards. He comes back in yelling and screaming at us. I'm like, dude, you were told it was bad. You were told it fell off. Read your paperwork. Okay, we got into a huge fight to the point where I wouldn't touch it. I made him tow it out of there. I called him all kinds of names. He called me all kinds of names. This was 20 years ago. After that, I called the welcome lady. I said, pull my shit. Whatever the rest of my contract is, I'll pay you, but I am not dealing with this shit anymore. Because that was like the third go around with that stuff. The point to that whole story is know your clientele. If you go on Facebook and go, hey, I'm doing brake jobs for $40, you're going to get a bunch of broke ass people that probably don't even have $40 to pay you. If you're a professional shop, be the professional shop. Know your place in the market. If you're going to be the mobile guy, what I would if you, I'd be the best fucking mobile guy around. I'd be the best on the things you do. I would advertise. I do front end. I do brakes. I do this. I do that, right? You can say the things you do really good. I'm the best guy at this.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, I could go get it done cheaper. We'll go get it done cheaper. And 9 times out of 10, they're not going to find a cheaper guy than you. Even if you doubled your labor rate right now, I guarantee you would still have a closing rate because you're standing in front of them. People right now can't help themselves in today's world. How many times, okay, Jason, you're old like me. If you go to Best Buy and they have something that you want to buy and it's $55 on Best Buy or it's $40 2 days later from Amazon, which one are you buying? I'm buying the one at Best Buy. I could touch it. I could look at it. I could feel it. Okay, it's no different when Dave Ramsey says there's an emotional attachment to cash. So when you pull out $100 out of your pocket, okay, you might have a hard time spending that whole 100. You pull out your Visa card, $100 ain't shit. That money doesn't exist. Do you know when McDonald's and all them people started taking plastic, their sales went up 20%? Why? Think about it. You're sitting there going for lunch with your boys. You have $5 in your pocket. Okay, I could have a Big Mac. That's $3. I get a small fry. That's 79 cents in a pop. That's $1. Okay, I have enough money. Okay, I'll have a Big Mac, right? Mm-hmm. You watch what you're doing.
Absolutely.
The credit card in today's world. Give me 2 Big Macs, a Frosty or whatever they sell, McFlurry, da-da-da. It's kind of no different when you're sitting there. You can get these people, they're not going to pay you with the cash. They're probably pay you with a credit card, right?
Most likely they're sometimes Cash App or some of those apps. But yeah, generally it's a credit card.
What I'm trying to say to you is convey this whole thing. I kind of went on a rant. I'm trying to say to you that if you're standing in front of somebody and they're, number one, you're standing in front of them so they can get it. They're from the church or right now. They can get it right now. And then they pull out their credit card. And if it was $400 or $650, do you think that's going to be the deciding factor?
For the right customer? No, it shouldn't be.
Okay, so the guy who's got only $360 in cash and you come in and you're $450 with your bill. And they look at it, you and go, well, I only have $360. And then $90 profit is all you're making on that job. Are you going to do that job?
No.
But now that you're thinking about it, you possibly said, well, fuck, I could have made $30. I could,
Part of me is like, on one hand, oh, well, I could make a little bit. But also I'm like, if that's all my profit, I shouldn't, it is irresponsible of me to take that job because then also I'm eating the liability if, God forbid, something goes wrong.
Right, and here's where the shop management program goes in. You'll be able to pop that right open and go, okay, I'm at 58% on this job. If I drop it down to 40, I'm going to be here. If I drop it down to here, oh, shit, it's going to cost me $12 to do this job if I do that. If you don't have the right program in place and you don't have them, you can sit there with your Google Sheets, I'm sure, and do it and keep minusing to the point where you're like, shit, I'm going to lose money. Sometimes my point is you have to walk away.
Yeah, I actually had a funny story of a lady messaged me on Facebook like, "Hey, how much would it cost to get me brakes?" I put together the whole quote, and it was something. I think I was only charging I think $600-700, which I know is pretty cheap for a full pads, rotors, brake job all around.
Oh, yeah, it's dirt cheap.
That's dirt cheap. And she was like, "I got $150," and I'm like, "I can't buy the parts that cheap at cost."
Right, you've already used the $150 out. Hello.
Yeah, I had to.
You're now on credit.
I had to just tell her, I am so sorry, I can't help you. That's why I had to. And honestly, I shouldn't have been sorry about that. But I honestly
No,
can't.
my
help
question
them.
would have been like, are you fucking kidding me? Right? I mean, like,
No, you're right. I'm too nice of a person sometimes. I can't help. But really, are you kidding me? In my head, I'm like, that's ridiculous.
oh, don't worry about it. Give me the 150. I'll go spend the 100, 400, or other 400 for the parts. Shit. Why not? I'm not doing nothing today as a business owner. Yeah. I had a guy today come in, and I happened to be there, and he called with his Freightliner, Cascadia. Always the same type of persuasion that drives them, my friend. And he says it's been at several different places. He thinks he's got it fixed, but he needs the front alignment checked. So I'm standing next to Phil because I happen to walk in. I'm talking to them guys, Phil and Lincoln, my son, they're the service advisors. And I'm listening to the guy, he's on speakerphone. He's like, I took it to the Freightliner dealer. When I hit the brakes, I was pulling to the right. They said not the Freightliner dealer. He took it, the Freightliner dealer. And he said, when I hit the brakes, it pulls to the right. They said my steering gearbox is bad. So I put a steering gearbox, had him put a steering gearbox on it. It still does it. So then I took it back to another shop, and they said, oh, it's your brake adjustment. So I had to put brakes on the front of it and stuff like that, and it still does it. So they say it's the front end alignment now. And I'm like, that makes no sense. So I'm like, okay. Phil hangs up the phone. The guys comes in. We're out there talking, just bullshit. Me and all the guys out in the shop. The guy shows up. He wants to talk. Phil writes him up, and he's kind of already whining that we're the most expensive guys around and this and that. And I'm like, I don't really give a fuck. So we write him up, and I'm sitting there talking to Jason. I go, I'm not doing nothing right now. I'll help you with this. We'll shake down the front end or whatever. I'll pull it in because you're all dirty. So I pull the semi in, and we check the front end alignment. Front end alignment's dead on. And I'm like, let's go drive this thing. Jason's like, okay. So we go to back out there, and I turn the wheel, and it goes clunk. I turn the other wheel, and it goes clunk. We both look at each other, and we're both thinking spring bushings right away. So I'm like, let's just go drive it anyway. So we drive it out the driveway, hit the bump, clunk, clunk. And we're like laughing. I go, fuck, I know what it is. He's like, me too. So we drive it, and we're going down Expressway. I would toe the brakes, and the truck would take a right turn. Toe the brake, take a right turn. So I come back, and I tell the guy, I'm like, okay, I draw him a picture. I'm like, okay, here's your wheels. Here's the axle. Here's the springs. When we hit the brakes, the right side bushing is wasted. So the axle goes back. At that point, it forces the axle and takes a right turn. So in the meantime, we're going through all this stuff, and to back up, I kind of missed a part of it, I guess. Lincoln comes out. He's like, shut the hood on this thing. We're done with this guy. I'm kicking him out of here.
Oh, okay.
And this is my 18-year-old son. He's like, he's got an attitude, and I'm not dealing with them. And I'm like, okay. So I go, let me talk to this fucking guy. I walk up front. I go, what's the problem? He goes, well, I want you to talk to the mechanic. I go, no. I go, he gets paid by the hour, by the job. He's a flat rate tech. We already know what's wrong with your truck. You know what's wrong with my truck. I regurgitate what he said on the phone. He's like, oh, you do? I go, yeah. I go, so stop bothering. He goes, go sit down. I go, and I'll tell you what's wrong with your truck in a few minutes. I go, or you can pack it up like my son said and get out of here. I said, but I'm going to tell you what's wrong with your truck in a minute. Sorry, sir. Sits down. So Lincoln comes out. Son of a bitch. How do you do that, Dad? I'm like, Lincoln, it's the bottom line. I want to give this guy a solution to his problem. You guys did not convey that to him. Okay? I don't expect you to. You're two service advisors. You're not going to go toe-to-toe with this guy because you don't have the experience, the whatever. So sure as shit, we pulled it back in after the test drive, drive it out. The frickin' spring bushings are wasted, 3 of them. The only one that's not, let me think. No, all 4 of them were bad. And the one spring on the back, we started looking at, he tells me he's got bushings put in the back after the fact. Well, the dealer that put the bushings in the back, they left the shims out of the one axle, the alignment shims. So the rear axle on this truck is in alignment. The front axle on their truck is cocked a little bit too. So I write all this stuff down, take the pictures and stuff like that, send him give him a paragraph like this freaking long. He couldn't believe it. And I look at him and I go, now you know I am more expensive than everybody else. I gave you concrete answers and pictures. Oh my God, this is great, blah, 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 right? But the thing is, I basically proved to that guy we are worth what we're charging. And that's the kind of thing you have to do as a business owner. As you know, you have to be 100% sure you can deal with it and kind of go out there and extrude the confidence. I just put confidence like out there like 10 motherfuckers. I've been doing it for so long, and you'll get to that point someday when you're successful enough where you have so many customers and one guy starts giving you a hard time like, listen, Mrs. Smith, yeah, it's 1 o'clock. I have an appointment over here at 2 o'clock. So if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I need to get lunch anyway. And you're not going to worry about that losing that sale because it's not the right customer, you know? And it took me a long time to get to that point. And I will tell you the other thing, then we'll go over marketing really quick and then we'll be done. The other thing is when you get to the point, well, I'm going to think about what I was going to say here because I talked and I kind of lost my train of thought. I don't know. I'll come back.
I know you were talking about the whole idea of, making sure that you exude that confidence because obviously you get those customers who just want to bully you into a lower price and being able to push back on that.
Yeah, I don't remember now, but let's go to marketing.
Sure.
You kind of have an advantage being of the younger generation because you guys are used to the cell phones and stuff like that. So marketing's probably not as hard for you as it would be for the older generations. Like Jim is, he's 60 now and I'm 55. So even that 5-year gap, I noticed the computer gap is kind of crazy. The phone gap is kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah. And
so you younger guys definitely have an advantage of, the social media, stuff like that. Is that how you get a lot of your work?
That is my 90% is through social media. I've actually gotten a few through Google because I got a Google business profile set up. I got a Facebook page and I'm putting out posts and putting out what content I can. And the thing is, even though I understand how to use social media and I understand how to make the basics of, what to do. It's a little bit of a different game of changing your mindset to, how do I optimize this so that way my potential customers, the people who see this, read this, I establish my trust, I establish, I establish this guy's a legit guy and that I want to buy from him, and kind of having to create that sort of mindset, which I'm getting better at it, and I'm getting better at now. I'm starting to schedule posts out instead of at first it was like every I do 3 posts a week on Facebook and I do one on Nextdoor, one on Google, and just like every time I have to make a post, it's okay. When do I get it? What should I write? How should I do it? It's like an antidote. Should I do it as an educational thing? Kind of thinking, creating it, and now I'm kind of gotten a little bit of a system down where I kind of have I laid out, well, here's my different types of content that I could do. Here's a whole bunch of different subjects, and now it's a bit of, instead of me having to dream it up and think it up, and I'll use a little bit of Chat GPT to give me some ideas or kind of help clean up the writing after I write it up. I don't let it write for myself just because sometimes it can
no mechanic does. Let's face facts. If you do, it's fucked up.
It messes up. It screws it. Yeah. But I find that it can be a valuable tool to give me ideas or do those things. But now I've kind of gotten a system down, I'm starting to schedule out posts so that way. My hope is I'm kind of using the time, that between Christmas to New Year's, which is usually a pretty good lull, to just create a bunch of posts and content. And even now I'm starting to get into video content. Me and another guy, small business owner, we were basically going to take a day and me and him just full on day of recording, me and him switch back and forth. So he gets a bunch of content out of it. I get a bunch of content out of it. And then I can start putting some videos with my regular posts.
So let me give you a piece of advice if you don't mind. My marketing would be simple if I was you. You have a problem and I can fix it. I can fix it quickly. I could come to your house and fix it. Imagine not having to take your car to the shop to get your brakes done or X done or YZ done. I'll come and get it done right in your driveway today or tomorrow. And it'll be easy. That's what you need it'll be easy. That's what Amazon does.
True. I mean, their whole thing is
you could be
get it to you quickly.
Prime service
repair.
Yeah, Prime. I'll be at your house the next day.
And working on your car in your driveway or if you're at work or whatever, you can just keep working and you don't have to take any time off.
Exactly. You don't need to educate people because they don't give a fuck about their brakes. They don't want to learn how to do their brakes. They want to learn how you could solve a problem for them. You have a problem, I have a solution. It's going to cost you this much. Boom, it's done at your house. You know, the only other thing I would say, the one thing that always bothered me about mobile repair, and I'm sure here comes the trolls, oil changes really scare me with these homeowners associations and stuff like that. Imagine freaking kicking over your oil pan for whatever reason. We all know what a mess it makes, and it runs down their sewer. And then you get a Karen that comes on and goes, he's putting oil in the sewer right there, right there. All of a sudden, you're a fucking TikTok. Mobile mechanic dumping oil in the sewer, news at 11. He freaking got, Bill Bonds out there all drunk. Oh, yeah, he poured that shit down there. And then he flipped me the bird. Okay, then all of a sudden the EPA and the DEQ and everybody's up your ass. And I think I learned this when I was hauling, when I had waste oil heaters at Garrison at Motor City. I'd haul all the used oil back and forth. I was not covered by my insurance company.
Oh.
I would get in an accident, have an oil spill. I was not covered. I would have to pay for all the EPA, DEQ cleanup and everything.
Whoa, okay. I didn't think, I mean, obviously I'm only dealing with maybe 10 quarts of oil, but still.
I wouldn't know. I would ask my insurance company. I'm not saying like go get yourself a rider, but think about that. They got pig mats that you could do. You could take, and if you're going to work in a subdivision around a drain or anything, you could put the pig mat over the drain just as safety and take a picture.
No, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that because what I do is I lay out like a tarp and I'll just drive their vehicle so it's on a full tarp. And
good idea.
I have my catch and all that. Try to minimize any spills because also the last thing I want to do is I do the oil change and then they're calling me bitching because they got some oil in their driveway.
Absolutely.
Things like that. But no, I didn't even think about hopefully it never happens, but if it ever went down the sewer and getting big government on my ass over something.
Can you imagine that?
Oh, God.
We were burning a pallet out here one time. The freaking guy came by here. He was down the street and freaking gave my guys a riot act. Sent me a letter that we got a warning and all this shit because we're pollutants in the air. There's fucking trains going by, fucking smoking and everything. Don't
forget Mr. Big Boy's private jet flying by.
Yeah, it's just like, you're burning a pallet. Here's fucking go bright and you're gonna kill everybody. It's like, dude, whatever. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, Ben.
And I absolutely appreciate your insights, your experience, you helping me out. And I'm very excited to keep going, keep growing, and, hopefully make my little mobile mechanic business into something substantial,
You can make it as big as you want. It's just the mindset. I think you can. I think you get your pricing straightened out. Now, the only thing that's going to hurt right now of this podcast is your clients are going to be like, your price is doubled. Next year, you're going to come into this podcast with fucking gold chains look like Mr. T. Gold teeth. Yeah. It's like, yo, what's up?
What's up, guys? Got this bank.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks for being on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Bye.